What is going on, YouTube? It is Primitive here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a match from the most recent local here at Rocky Mountain Collectibles. Today we are going to be having Blue Hybrid piloted by myself on the left, and on the right we are going to be having the Red Hybrid in a very aggressive deck, and a deck that I've been struggling a bit with the Blue Hybrid, so something that I wanted to get some more testing in. I did make some changes that will hopefully help me in this set, but I'm going to go ahead and just start off with the Davis. My opponent does have to Digivolve that Burning Greymon for 3, so I'm able just to Davis to put them at 1, prevent myself from getting choked in the future while also just giving me the ability to search. So now they're going to swing in, so the Burning Gray has its own boost plus the Atomic Inferno there, so I believe it was swinging at 12k, so pretty big Burning Greymon to swing in. They're going to Digivolve up into the Aldemon, and that's a problem because I don't have a way to really deal with this right now. This is a card that has a natural security attack +1, so next turn it's going to be able to come in and do pretty massive checks, and if I don't have something like Tommy and Korikaku to strip it, then I don't really have any way to stop it, and my opponent's already swung 2 checks, so they're getting very aggressive checks early, and this is one of the reasons why I have been having some issues with this list, is just because it is one of those decks where they can just get really aggressive very early, and if you don't have a way to stop it, then they just keep getting aggressive, and eventually you're going to run out of security. Stalling only works so much. Once they clear me out to 0 security, the stalling effects of things like Tommy and Korikakumon don't matter anymore, because they'll just be able to promote from raising or Digivolve on top of a Tamer to go for game. So I need to stop these checks early. Unable to. I was stripping the sources, so now next turn, if I do have a way to stun with the Korikaku, I can stun them, but for now they're going to swing with the Aldemon, swinging for 3 checks, and I do get the Howling in the mat, but like I said, it's probably going to be a little bit too late, because now all they need is a hybrid to win the game, or if they put a Digimon in raising, the next turn they'll be able to promote and win the game, and they still have too much security for me to be able to really try and go for game next turn. With them having 4 security, the most attacks I could really do next turn is gonna be the 4, because I have the 1 hybrid on the board plus the 3 Tamers in the back, so I'm not gonna be able to clear game right now. All I'm gonna really be able to do is hope that they miss the rookie in raising, and they play things on the board that I can end up stunning. If I can end up stunning them and putting them at 1, then they're not gonna have the memory to be able to go into their hybrid, and then I could potentially set up a 2-turn kill, and that's really all I can do here. My opponent ends up going up into the Emperor Greymon there, denying me Sorajo memory as well as the Mat memory gain, and it's going to make it a bit more annoying to stun it now that it does have the source. But I'm going to go ahead and just play out the Tommy here. I'm going to go down to 1, but I do get to strip the source, draw off the Kiaromon, and then I will be able to just Digivolve into the Korikakumon right here to be able to stun and put my opponent at 1, and then they are going to be able to just go with the Gravity Crush into the Burning, so putting them at 1 and stunning didn't even matter. And sorry about the little bit cut there. The camera, as you can see, did get kicked a little bit, so we had to fix that. It's not in the same position, but it is still going to work out. So I'm going to have my opponent be going first, game 2. I want that extra memory, I want those resources, and I want to try to be able to play a little bit more reactively. My opponent just starts off with the Bokomon to be able to search. I'm just going to mirror that Boko. I do have to put my Ice Wall to the bottom, which is fairly unfortunate versus a deck like this, but I do get to search out a little bit, and I can play out the Mat to put my opponent at 2, which is going to limit their sources a little bit. If they want to play a Tamer, they'll have to pass the turn, or if they want to Digivolve up into something like their Burning Greymon, which they played before, they'd also have to pass the turn. So I liked playing the Mat there just to limit their sources, but they are going to be able to play the Takuya because of the Flamemon inheritable, and then they're just going to play out the Tai, and I'll go to 2, and then I'll gain a memory with the Mat. Now, I can Digivolve on top of the Mat and gain the extra memory with the Bokomon, go for free, so that way I can get some more resources, because now I'm going to be able to Digivolve up. I will swing with the Beowulf to be able to bring back the Bokomon. They will be able to get to search with it again, but it's not that big of a deal, because I'd rather just them not have the resource of getting the memory gain. If they want to search again, that's fine. I can deal with it later, but as of right now, it just threatens an extra swing on the board, plus the ability for them to Digivolve up into one of their Tamers for free. Atomic Blaster is going to come out, going to clear off the couple Digimon that I have on the board. That is a bit unfortunate. I would have liked that pressure, plus the Bokomon giving me that extra free Tamer. Digivolution is going to be pretty key, but I can go ahead and play out another Strabimon to search here. I do have the Madoki in the back, which is a card that I am interested in getting out, because as we saw the first game, they went in with that Gravity Crush, so now we know it is in the deck. I want to be able to play around it, because without my opponent having the Tai on the board, the Memory Tamer Tai, I can continue just to memory choke them each turn, but this deck does have pretty good ways to get rid of Madoki. We saw the Atomic Blaster right there, but they can also just Digivolve up into the new Burning Greymon, and that would also be fairly unfortunate. There is one of them right there. They are going to use it to pop the Strabi instead of the Madoki, but I think that's fine. The Strabi is threatening some offensive pressure, so they got to try to clear the board as much as possible, but the Madoki I do feel like is one of the stronger resources here. I'm going to go ahead and go back up into Beowulfmon here. Going to be able to swing in, bounce back the Burning Greymon. Now they have it again, which means they can Digivolve on top of the Madoki again, but with the way I'm going to be playing this, I'm going to continue to try to choke them as much as possible, or put them as little memory as possible, so them playing out the Burning Greymon is going to have to use up a large majority of their memory for the turn. They will be able to pop the Madoki, but they'll go to 0. Well, I guess they could also pop the Boko now at this point. They both have valid resources. If they don't have the Gravity Crush, then the Boko is probably going to be the better target, but if they do go ahead and Digivolve here, they do get to pop one of my rookies, but they get rid of one of their Tamers on the board. Next turn, I will very likely be able to deal with this card on the board by either deleting it or by stunning it, and by doing that, my opponent would have one less Tamer on the board, especially the Takuya, which they can warp up on, but then they just have a super powerful turn where they go Burning Greymon, pop the Madoki, Gravity Crush up to 2, Burning Greymon on top of that for 1 to pop my Bokomon, and then Aldemon on top of that for 1 to then be able to swing over my Beowulf. So they just cleared my whole board, plus got rid of my value cards, and they have the ultimate on the board with this Bokomon and a Digimon in Raising, so definitely not looking like the best spot for me at the moment. But on the upside, I will be at 5 memory this turn because my opponent played the Bokomon, put me at 3, and then the Gravity Crush effect gives me an extra 2 memory at the end of the turn. So I'll go to 5, so I will be able to potentially get some things going onto the board here. I do have the Tommy in hand, which we can see, which can strip the bottom 3 sources of the Aldemon here, which is then going to put me in a position to where I can now stun it if I just Digivolve into the Korikaku here. So I do stun it, which is going to slow them down a little bit, which is what I have to do. They just had a very strong turn, and I'm going to go ahead and just play down the mat. Going to allow me to gain a little bit of extra memory. My opponent does have the Aldemon and the Bokomon on the board currently with no sources on the board, and it's unlikely that both of them either go away or gain the sources. My opponent's going to go and Digivolve on top of their Tai, their only Tamer on the board. They will do it for essentially free since they gain from the Bokomon, and then they're going to go up into another Aldemon here, so they're getting a really wide board, but they are putting in a position where if I can start to get a couple Korikakus and maybe another Beowulf going, I will be able to just keep stunning the board. My opponent swings in, unfortunately doesn't hit anything in there that can take it down, so I'm going to have to try to manually get rid of this Digimon. And although things are looking really rough right now just because of the board presence right now, I do have a general win condition on the right now. I do have the Azulongmon that I could go into, and I would be able to strip the bottom source of the Flamemon. I'd be able to gain the memory off of the Digimon with no sources, and I'd be able to swing for all the checks. The only problem is I might not have the memory to go into all of it, but then my opponent swings with the Flamemon. The Flamemon lives and hits into the Sorijo, meaning that I'm going to be gaining extra memory. The Dave is going to put me to 3, the Sorijo and the Mats are going to put me to 6, and now I definitely have the memory to go up for game right here. So I'm going to Digivolve for 1 up into the Beowulfmon, and then go into the Azulongmon for 5. Going to be able to strip the bottom of each of the Digivolution sources, gain 1 memory for each card stripped, and then gain security attack +1 for each card with no Digivolution sources. So I'm swinging for 4 checks right there, get to clear them out, and then I can just swing in for game. So it was looking very far behind, but Azulongmon able to come through here and be able to clear all those checks out. Azulongmon, a card that works really well with the strip and stun style of this deck, and it show right there, sometimes you can fall far behind, but just one good Azulongmon can really bring you back. So starting out, I am going to start off with the Bokomon, and my opponent's just going to play out the Tai and see the opportunity to put me at 1, and so since they're going to go to 3 anyway, I just play out the Sorijo so I can get that memory going, and they're going to respond with a Takuya into Atomic Blaster, so just straight up clearing all the things on the board, but putting me at 5. So giving me a decent amount of room to be able to work with, to be able to play some cards out here. I'm going to go ahead and play the Strabimon. I'm going to reveal 3 Tamers, but I can't grab any of them. So this Strabimon doesn't really work super well with this deck. It is a card that I was playing as a 2 of, but not a big fan of it. Probably going to be cutting it out for specific reasons like that. I don't play the Koji, so I can't hit it, and its on deletion doesn't help. I was hoping to just hit something like a Beowulfmon there, but ended up just putting 4 decently good cards at the bottom of my deck. Now getting on into my opponent's turn, they are just going to Digivolve into the Burning Gray, being able to delete a 4K or less. So unfortunately my Kumamon fits in that 4K, so it is going to go down. So they are just able to delete that for relatively free here. But they did get rid of one of the tamers on the board, which is good. More tamers that go into Digimon, the better, because Digimon I can deal with, tamers not so much. So they're going to go ahead and swing in with the Aguni there. It is going to go down, leaving the Burning Greymon just hanging out, not swinging in. So that does give me the opportunity to strip some sources as well as stun it. And I'm going to do so with the Howling. And that's going to help me in the future be able to gain some extra memory. If they don't have the Aldemon here, the Howling is actually going to be fairly crucial. The Howling is a card that just works so well in this list because you're going to be able to strip and stun something. And so unless they Digivolve on top of it, then I am going to be gaining memory with the Sorajo next turn. Plus, I'm going to be having the Howling Memory Boost memory gain. So if they don't go into the Aldemon, I'll be pretty happy to gain that extra memory. But I just really love how well the Howling Memory Boost works with the Sorajo. And I thought I was going to get it off because my opponent did Digivolve into the Aldemon, but then they did Digivolve into the older Aldemon here, so I'm not going to be able to get that Sorajo memory, but still going to 3 and still workable. This is quite unfortunate though because that Aldemon does have natural security attack +1, which means that it can just swing in for the checks that I have, and then the Aldemon's still going to be there, which can also swing for 2 checks thanks to the Takuya, and they have the tie in the back, which guarantees that there'll be at least 3 memory and be able to go into a hybrid, so I'm going to have to be able to deal with this somehow. I do have the Howling Memory Boost, which is going to allow me to gain 2 memory and be able to get a little bit more workaround, but I'm going to have to probably work more so on stripping and stunning. So I'm going to start off with the Kumamon, which is going to be able to strip the Aldemon, and then I can attack and get the when attacking effect of Tommy to stall out at least one of them, and then I can have a couple options that I can go to stall the Aldemon. The best one is probably going to be the Howling Memory Boost, so I'm just thinking about what I want to go for here. I decide to Digivolve up into the Beowulfmon because my opponent's going to go to 3 anyway, and I'm likely about to just play the other Howling, and so I wanted to try and just fill out the memory. I don't return the Kumamon when I swing with the Beowulf. I'm just taking the risk that I'm going to live in security there, so that way if they play something else out that's level 4 or lower, next turn I can swing and be able to bounce it back, but I do get to stun both of them. I put my opponent in a position where they can't win this turn because they only have the 2 Tamers on board, so they could put 2 hybrids on top of there with the help of Gravity Crush, but they wouldn't be able to go into game. They're going to be able to go into Burning Greymon, which is going to be able to swing over the Beowulf because of the Burning Greymon's effect to be able to gain, go up to 9k DP. But they do use one of their tamers as a Digimon to swing over one of my Digimon and not go security, so I still have the potential to be able to strip and then be able to stun, but I have a little bit different of a plan going in here. My opponent does put me to 5 because they're going to give me 3 with the Bokomon, and then I'm going to be able to gain 2 with the Sorajo, and now my opponent has 3 security, so I'm thinking my opponent has a lot of Digimon on board. I don't have a Tommy on board, which means I'm not going to be able to stun all of them on the board. So my only real win condition here is going to be going in with the Susanomon. So I'm going to swing with the Strabimon here so that way I could potentially get another hybrid in my trash, but I can go ahead and Howling up into 7. I can put 10 hybrids and tamers from my trash and my hand to the bottom of my deck to Digivolve into Susano for 7. I did Howling up to 7, so that way I can Susano keep my turn. I'm at 15k with security attack +2, so I'm going to be able to swing for 3 checks right there. Go up into the Howling, so I can go to 2, and then Korikaku 4 games. So that was very close. There was games where I was just falling very far behind, but I was able to go in there with those late game win conditions of a Zulong and Susano just to get those extra checks and all that memory gain, allowing me to also get the hybrid checks in there as well. But with that being said, if you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe because I'm going to be bringing you even more BT7 content throughout the next few weeks leading up into DigiFest and beyond. So I hope you all have a great day. I'll see you next time. Peace out.